What is going on, everybody? I am here with Claudia Wyatt, one of our amazing speakers for the Young Professional Leadership Summit. And so far, just an amazing human being. We talked for about 4 minutes before we hit record, and I'm already a huge fan. And I've heard lots of great things from Rob about you, but we are very excited to have her on the list of speakers that are going to be there, providing a ton of value and entertainment and be able to push you on the right path. But Claudia, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited about being here and being with the summit. Like, this is going to be incredible. All of this shared wisdom from all of these experts, from all of our decades of leadership ability. This is something I wish I would have had when I started out in leadership.
Oh, I wish I would have had this. How old am I?
Yesterday.
I don't want to say. I wish I had it a long time ago. But I'm really happy that we're able to give this now to the young professionals coming up and those that want to do amazing things with their lives. So really quickly, let's learn a little bit more about Claudia. Claudia, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you became the expert in so many things, leadership just being one of them?
Yes, absolutely. Life experience, you never know where the journey is going to take you. But I actually have always been in leadership. I just didn't know it. Like when I was very young, I was put in these mentor groups, like because I could be the voice of reason for people and find out what was going on with them. And it wasn't really something I was pursuing. It was just happening. Every job I ever took, I ended up being in a leadership position because I could see all sides of the story. I could see how the coin was flipping and go, that's not going to work out. But I also was very empowered by what could happen when someone was really taking on their journey. Like when they really said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to see it through and see what happens. And that for me was super exciting. So every job I ever had, I was in management, which was wonderful. And then I moved up into the spa and wellness industry. I've been in the spa and wellness industry for 25 years and immediately, again, right into a leadership position because I just decided to go for it. No matter what I was doing, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring my best self to the table. I'm going to be integrous and I'm going to be fair. And when I would come into a situation and see what was going on, regardless of who thought the outcome was going to be what, I was going to do what was right. And that's really the key to leadership, is knowing and doing what's right, no matter what the cost. Because there's going to be people in your life in the leadership journey who are not going to be right there for your success. And I saw that right away with some leaders. And I said, you know what? That's not going to be me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put other people down in order to elevate myself as a leader. Leadership is not about dictatorship. It's about people coming together for a common goal and seeing their best selves. So that's kind of where that came from. So I went from assistant manager to manager to director to executive director. And they just kept putting me in more positions because they said, you know what? You've been really good with this team. They've done amazing things. We can see their growth. Can you take on these people? And I'm like, yes, because these people, no one's taking in control of because they just don't want to deal with that. The hard ones are your biggest win. The ones that are the most resistant, the ones that are like, absolutely not, I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing. When you can crack that and you get that glimmer of sparkle coming through the light and you're like, they're seeing it and they're starting to do it without them really realizing they're doing it, because if they knew they were doing it, they'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. But when they start to do it unintentionally, it just sort of happens. And then they go, you know what? This is working. That's when things start happening. So during 2020, there was a part of the company that I worked for obviously closed down. That happened for a while, for 2 months. And I was like, this isn't going to work. I need to find something to do. So I jumped into panels and articles and podcasts and just giving back wherever I could, keeping my juices going, inspiring other people. And then I decided, hey, maybe I should get certified in a few things. So I decided to take a bunch of courses and I got certified in confidence, cognitive behavior, and life purpose, because I really believe your personal and your professional goals go together. And from that point of my own journey, I had a very dark time with deaths in my family and a toxic marriage and divorce. And I really lost myself, but I was still going all the time. And finding out that part of you that feels like you can't stop because you're avoiding things that you don't want to see, was really starting to deflate and exhaust me. So I really dug into myself. So I am a big believer that personal and professional development go together. And that's how we really become who we are meant to be.
that's amazing. There's a point that there's 2 points that you made kind of near the beginning of that. That's all amazing. So your experience, so we have fairly similar, I would say, background, especially how we got started in our professional careers, which is health and wellness. So for you, how has your experience and your professional knowledge in health and wellness, how has that helped, and what have you taken over into your leadership capabilities and your leadership skills?
Oh my gosh, all of it. So balance, I mean, that's huge. Rest, understanding when enough is enough for you and not leading yourself into burnout, because I would just go. I'm a go person. I'm high energy. But there was a point where I couldn't stop going. And I could feel my body and my mind going, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. You've got to put some boundaries up. You can't keep saying yes to everything, because I was literally exhausted, but I didn't know how to stop. And going back into what I was doing in the wellness industry, in the spa industry as an esthetician, and taking care of people and listening to them, I needed to start listening to myself. That was where the key was. It was like, you're tired. Rest. You don't have to keep going. Everything doesn't have to be done today. You don't have to sacrifice yourself for other people because you're afraid to say no.
That's a really good point, and that's not the direction I thought you were going to take it, but I'm really glad you did, because it's about balance, right? And that's one thing that I took away from being in that space and working with, from professional athletes to people just trying to lose 10 pounds and get their blood pressure down, that kind of thing, is that it takes balance, but there's so much that goes into it. And especially like if you look at athletes, like people that want to be high performers, and there's no difference from that, and people who want to advance their career, grow their businesses, and be leaders, right? Is that it takes like just a little difference. This is my co-host, by the way.
Mine's actually on the couch behind me, and she barked as soon as we started recording. So I was like, I don't know how long this is going to work, but
he's quiet. He just shows up and looks handsome. I love it. But it takes, you have to look at the whole system. You have to look at everything, because you make a change over here, it could affect something over here. You could get an extra 30 minutes of sleep, and that could affect your performance the next day, which then could be the difference between, if you're a sprinter, be the difference between that 0.01 second and third place, 100%, right?
100%.
So it takes everything. There's another thing that you said, though, that I wanted to hit on, and it was when you went into these positions, you got promoted really quickly, and it's because you went all in, because you went for it. What's the difference between going for it in a leadership capacity, or going for it in a leadership mindset, and just going for it for the sake of going for it?
There's always someone in your life that puts this perspective together for you. And I had a leader who I very much loved, like was a wonderful person, was showing me a lot of things. But there was a factor where I saw that she knew that I was going to pass her one day, because I was very determined. Then there was some self-sabotage that was happening in that, because there was an internal battle with myself, as this is my leader and I should behave, I don't want to upset her. But then it's like, I'm not doing myself any service by that. So I'm going to do it anyway, regardless of whether she likes it or not. And I kept going for it. And eventually I did pass her. And that was kind of the key factor for me. When I started working with teams, I wanted them to beat me. I wanted them to grow beyond me. I wanted them to really put themselves for it, and never would I hold them back. And that's what I felt was happening with myself, is I was being held back so that she could keep shining. Well, here's the key to leaders. When they win, you win. Everybody shines. It doesn't matter if their numbers are higher than yours. It doesn't matter if, they're doing something differently. If I had been her in her position, that would have been a key to me to go, maybe I need to elevate myself. If I am feeling like I need to do more because this person is really soaring, and even though I'm super happy for them, maybe it's time I level up too. Growing together is also the point.
No, and that reminds me of I'm a big Jim Collins fan. He said level 5 leaders are first and foremost for the cause. And if you want to create the highest likelihood of achieving the goal, the mission, the improvement, you have to bring everybody up with you. You have to grow people with you, right? And that means that they win in certain areas much more than you have. and you are currently. And there's a short-sighted, I don't want to say it's short-sighted, but maybe it's just not a complete, I guess, phrase is the best leaders replicate themselves. They don't necessarily replicate themselves, right? I think that they create so many other high performers like themselves. And not, when I say like, I don't mean specifically attributes, skills, focus, that kind of stuff. But I mean, they are also, they're high performing in their field, in their role, with their outcomes that they want to create.
I agree with that.
Means
you see that when someone is really good at something, and maybe you're good at it, but they're great at it, if you keep feeding that fire, they will become exceptional at it. And even though you're good at it, good for you, you saw in them what they didn't see in themselves, which is another key point in leadership, is you're bringing the best out in people in their strengths.
Yeah. And that's leverage. They're really high aptitude in this thing, that you only have a moderate aptitude in this thing, but you're a great leader. You know, you can get the best out of them. So there's your highest level focus, or highest leverage focus. Sorry.
I love
Absolutely. That. Beautiful. Claudia, like we said, you're going to be one of the amazing speakers at this event here. What can the attendees, whether it's online or in person, what can they expect from your talk? What can the outcome, what can they expect to walk away with from your talk?
Well, I can guarantee, number one, you'll be fired up, because I can't help it. When I get up there, I just keep going, and my energy is very contagious. So you will not be bored listening to me, but you will have tools that you can actually take back and put into practice right away, whether they be for yourself in your own personal journey. Because like I said, your personal and your professional fuel each other, but it will also help you understand your teams better. It will help you in those moments of, I can't do this. I'm stressed out. There's too many things going on. This isn't meant for me, because you're going to have those moments where that doubt comes in. I'm going to help you erase that. That self-doubt erasing is kind of my thing. And I come in there and say, you know what? You can do it. You can do it. You're just in a moment right now where you're being challenged. And those are going to happen, because I've been through some things that no one should ever have to go through. Lightning strikes, trade shows. I've had a team member that had a complete mental breakdown. Like, all of these things, no matter what you're doing in leadership, they're not always going to prepare you for the things that are unseen or that have never happened before. But the tools that I'm going to give you will help you navigate through them without falling apart, so that you are taking care of yourself and that you are taking care of your people. Because that's what it all comes down to. You can't lead if you don't have a team. So connecting with your team and understanding them and learning how to listen effectively with emotional intelligence behind it will serve you both well.
What would your advice be to those leaders that struggle with focusing on themselves? And maybe I don't know if that's that they struggle with understanding the concept of, you have to put your mask on first. Sometimes you have to focus on yourself. You have to learn to lead yourself before you can learn to lead others. What would your advice be to them to shift their perspective to start focusing on themselves, as opposed to just focusing on, okay, we have to hit this goal, we have to hit these numbers, we have to hit this quota, whatever it is?
The numbers are not the point, right? They will get there if all of the other things fall into place. But your team is literally watching every move you're making, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you are not practicing what you preach, they're going to look at you and go, why would anyone want that job? And if this is what I'm working my way up to, I don't want it either. So I don't want to do it. And more people will leave, not because they don't trust you or believe in you, but because they're seeing you burning out. So you really have to take care of yourself, and getting those fundamental tools to show you and your team, this is how you take care of yourself. This is how you know when you're not in the right headspace today. This is how you know when a project isn't going well and you need help. This is how you ask for help. There are so many multifacets to leadership, and taking care of yourself is priority number one, because you can't take care of anybody else if you're not taking care of you. And none of this works without you. You're the leader.
Absolutely amazing. No, I absolutely love it. I'm so excited to hear you speak. Your energy is, like you said, we're gonna have to put you like after lunch when everybody has that lull, right? Right? When everybody, get everybody fired up. Man, I know.
I do love it. And as soon as I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, I mean, it just goes like all the way up. I just can't help that at all. But putting me last is not always great, because I get very antsy.
People
do that on purpose sometimes. Patience.
We won't do that to you. Absolutely not. What's your advice? What was maybe something that the watchers right now can take away to get the most out of the event between now and October 19th, when the event is in October?
I love questions. So if you are going through things, write down things that are bothering you, struggles, things you're unsure about, ways that you can connect better. Any question that you have, write those down, because I'm happy to answer them. I definitely want to be there for every single person in this conference to make it the most for them so we can personalize it more. When you're going into this, let go of the expectation of who you think you need to be. And I want you to come out of it with who you are. And let's elevate that.
I wish I had a microphone so I could drop it. That was beautiful. Awesome. Claudia, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for being a part of this with us. We are so excited to have you, and we're so excited to see the changes that you're going to make and all the attendees and all the people watching. But until then, where can people find you?
I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere, which is great. LinkedIn is my jam. I spend most of my time on there under Claudia Wyatt. I also have Claudia Wyatt Coaching there. I am on Instagram and Facebook under The Claudia Wyatt, and my website, www.claudiawyatt.com.
Beautiful. And obviously we'll link all that on our webpage and on this video below. But thank you so much, Claudia. We're so excited to have you. I've said that a million times, and I'll say it a million times more. Stay tuned. We're going to have more interviews with some of the other amazing speakers that we have. But until next time, everybody, keep chasing your next summit.
Woohoo!